live?
Yep.
We are? Awesome. I forget every time how to like click out. Ah, there we go. You have to like mute it.
Aw, Zara.
Oh, can you see her?
Mm-hmm.
So Kevin's listening to the audiobook. Well, he was listening to the audiobook. He got, I think, halfway. He has like, I'd say 100 pages left of the book. Not even, maybe like 75 pages left.
As I was getting ready for the live show today, I was watching your guys' vlog, and it was great. I loved the discussion between you guys.
Oh, good. Yeah, we like, he came home, and because when I still thought our live show was going to be on Sunday, I was still like, I was so far behind. And I was like, okay, I need to read, and I need to get this book read. So he came home, and I was reading it, and I was like, okay, I have a question. And then, oh, shh. All right. Kevin just got home. And we ended up talking about the book for like an hour.
Wow. Nice. So how is he liking it then?
He really likes it. Hi, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
Okay.
So, confession, I haven't actually finished the book, but I've already looked up spoilers, so it's fine. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Hannah.
We are live.
Cool.
Hi,
Out there.
Aaron.
You should come talk. Oh no, you don't want to get spoiled.
No, I'm
He
going
doesn't
to
wanna
leave
get
this
spoiled.
conversation.
You better put on headphones or something.
I'll be far away.
Okay, so Hannah, do you want to start?
Oh my gosh, Haley, how did you read it so fast? I've been crawling through it all month.
Me too.
Anyways, kudos to you, girl.
I know, right?
So, I haven't finished it yet. I'm almost done. I'm like 400 pages or so. So I've got like 130 pages left, which I'll probably finish tonight.
So basically like so I had a problem with the pacing.
Yes.
I felt like the first 400 pages went by so slow, and then literally the last 100 or so pages, things just drastically change and things get really crazy.
That figures. As soon as they like, I just stop when it's all slow and I like miss the fast part.
Well, what part did you end at? Like, what part are you at exactly?
They just went through where they're both in the dream, and the fog comes and they turn them into each other. But I've already looked at spoilers, so I already know what happens, and it's an Atlantis retelling, so it's not like that mind-blowing. Like it was kind of predictable for me.
Yeah. You were hooked from page 1. Yeah, page 1 was really, yeah.
I was so confused. I've got to say, so I was listening to the audiobook for probably the first 100 or so pages, and I was so confused because I was like, is this a story that he's telling? Is it, because that's when we got introduced to the other characters, is when they were talking about the story contest where he won the money. And I was like, is it his characters he's making up? Is this real? I was really confused, and I did not like the audiobook for this type of story.
Yeah, I started with the audiobook and then I had to stop because I was just, if you doze off for a second, like pay attention to the road or like, you know, a second where you're just not like focusing on the audiobook, I had to rewind because I was completely lost.
I agree. And I think just with her, like, Laini Taylor's writing style is so, I don't want to say flowery because it's not, but it's so descriptive that it is so hard to, if you do lose focus, because it's like, what are we talking about? Like, if you lose track of it for a second.
Yeah.
Do you think her writing style is flowery?
A little bit.
Everybody says it's flowery, but I don't think it's like super poetic writing. It's such a unique style, and I can't put my finger on what exactly it is. Everybody calls it flowery writing, though,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like it's poetic to me. It just feels just like off the beaten track. Like Maggie Stiefvater's writing is kind of like this too, is that it's very descriptive and immersive, almost like, but it's not, I wouldn't call it necessarily flowery writing. Like Tahara Mafi's writing is very flowery to me.
So do you think flowery to you means like too much excess?
I think flowery writing to me is kind of talking in circles.
Okay.
And
so more of a negative connotation than like.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was thinking it more like in a positive connotation, like
I liked her writing style.
Yeah, you're right. I do too. It's hard to really describe it because like poetic and whimsical, I would like describe the Night Circus.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't describe this as like poetic.
Maybe a little. But a little whimsical as well. Maybe it's just whimsical.
I don't know. It's very unique.
It's very unique, yeah.
I didn't really care for when the story was split in the beginning, and that's what made me not want to come back to the story when I couldn't see how it was going to connect. And that's what really threw me off in the beginning, was that we had Laszlo's side, and then we had like the Godspawn side, and I didn't realize how it was going to connect. And once it connected, I was much more in tune with the story. But when we had two separate stories that we would have to flip back and forth, I didn't like that because I was like, what is going on? And then I like didn't really care for like the Godspawn side. I wanted to know more about Laszlo, and then so every time it like shifted back to the Godspawn, I was like, bring me back to Laszlo. Like, I don't care. Like, now I like them now that it's all intertwined and everything. But at the beginning, I was like, it like dragged through those chapters.
Yeah. So I think what I had trouble with her writing style is I didn't know when something was real or when it was a simile or a metaphor, because she uses a lot of descriptions, it uses a lot of words. So I don't know what she meant by, so when he's like younger and he forgets the name of the city, she says something about like how it was plucked out of his brain. And I didn't take it literally. So I was just like so confused for the longest time until Kevin was like, no, he literally forgot, like magic erased everything. And I was like,
I didn't pick that up either.
What?
I didn't pick that up either.
Yeah. So I was taking it more figuratively.
Yeah.
And there are other times where I was like the Citadel. I had so much trouble when they were describing the Citadel. I was picturing like a castle, the floating. And then Kevin was like, no, you need to go back and listen to the descriptions. It talks about a hand and a palm and wings. And I was like, I thought those was just descriptions. Like, I thought she was just using like similes or metaphors, like describing the balcony, like she was on the balcony overlooking, like she was on a palm or something. I didn't actually think she was literally on, like, I didn't realize the Citadel was an actual like angel. I thought those were I thought she was using metaphors to describe it. So that's what I had trouble with, like differentiating between what is actually true and what was just a simile or a metaphor or like a description.
See, I knew that it was a palm because it was saying stuff like, I can't go past the fingers. And it was saying stuff like that like, I got it, but I couldn't fully picture it. And I kept picturing the floating islands from Avatar. And it's probably because I've watched the movie Avatar recently, but that's what I kept picturing was like it floating like that.
See, so I was picturing, have you seen the movie Atlantis?
Yes.
Okay. literally, I was picturing everything from the movie Atlantis, like floating buildings and like the blue and like the strange and like the stone, and I couldn't get past. And like when they were like,
yeah, I couldn't get past like the similarities of it either. Like I kept connecting to that.
Right, and then when they're trying to get to when they're like trekking on their way to the city of Weep, I kept seeing like them in the caves in Atlantis and sleeping on the floor, and I don't know, it was just interesting.
I wish I wouldn't have seen Atlantis before I read the book because I kept just like missing, like if you have seen the movie, that's a very funny children's movie. Like the humor in that is great. And like the guy who like does all the bombs in the movie is hilarious. And I kept was like, where is my comic relief? And we sort of got that with his like friend that's a girl in that, but it wasn't that funny. And I was like, yeah, I wanted something more.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we actually talked about, okay, we gotta rate it.
Yes. So as you guys know, I haven't actually finished it, but I think I'm going to be rating it like a 3.5, 3.75 because it's good, but it's just, I can't give it a higher rating past that because of how slow it took me to get through it and how nothing was really pulling me back to the story, and I couldn't really connect with any of the characters that much. Like, I was not really invested in it.
Yeah.
But it was a good story. It just wasn't for me, I think.
I was with you at first. I was gonna give it like a 3.5, but then I ended up giving it a 4, maybe like a 4 point. I said it's a good 4 for me. Objectively, I think it could be higher. Like the writing style, the plot, everything is just, I've never read something like this. You know, it's really, really unique. So I definitely think like writing style and plot to me like deserves like a 5 out of 5 stars, except for the pacing. But what was I saying?
What about character development?
I ended up giving it a 4 because the ending, it like, it's crazy how so much happens in like 65 pages. You're just like, wait, what is going on?
Oh man, so my rating might change.
Maybe. Well, you got spoiled, so maybe not.
But like none of the stuff that I looked at the spoilers didn't really like. I was like, yeah, that's predictable. Like I was like, that's not a shock to me.
Oh, okay. So I mean, well, one thing that I thought was actually really predictable was Laszlo. Like, I was like, obviously he's got, like, Kevin was, like, when Kevin said he thinks he's God-spawn, I was like, oh, he's going to be able to move the stone.
Yeah.
Like, that's obvious. To me, that was obvious. But the dying, like, who died, by the way, spoilers, guys. So, who dies, and then the very end with Minya, I was like, oh. So... Okay, so Haley gave it a 5, and then Irene gave it a 4. Okay, yeah. She thought she was gonna give it a 2.5 to a 3 until the last 100. Yeah, those last 100 pages, I feel like if the pace had been a little quicker, like if more had happened, I think I would have enjoyed it more.
I think it all goes back to the writing style for me because it's not a lot happens because of the way that it's written. And not that that's bad, but it's just not a lot happens. And there's not a lot of dialogue either. Like it's all Laszlo's perspective. And I think Laszlo is like a very introverted character. So a lot happens to him, but not actual action, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like all kind of happens in his head and like because it's like the way that the dreams happen and stuff, nothing actually happens, but it happens. I don't know if that makes any sense there.
Yeah. No, I get it. And then
so it just was too slow for me.
Yeah. Agreed. If it takes me over a month to get through a book, that's usually not a good sign.
See, and that's why I think like no matter what happens in the last like 100 pages, I just can't rate it past like a 3.75 just because I like drug my feet through it.
Yeah.
I did really like the God spawn abilities, and
Yes.
I really wanted to be like the Cloud Stealer, because as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you choose if you were a God spawn? What would you want your abilities to be?
Like, which one would I want of all of theirs, or like create one?
Of one of theirs.
I think I'd want. Yeah, I think I'd. Oh gosh, that's hard. I like No, I think I'd want Minya's.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that one is the most handy. Maybe not. I don't know. That one or Ruby's. I like Ruby's. I like the flames and the fire.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll read Muse of Nightmares. You said it ends like on a cliffhanger or something?
Yeah, the ending, you're just like, what? Do you want me to read you the last page? The last sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, so what spoilers? I mean, you got most of your spoilers, right? Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about spoilers.
Okay, so you got to the point where is it Sari? What do you call her?
I always said sorry, but I don't think that's right. That's what I said in my head.
Yeah. Well, you know how she dies, right?
Yeah.
And then Minya catches her, and then what's his name? Laszlo turns blue. He gets on the beast, goes up and gets her body, and then he goes up to the Citadel, and then he tells Minya to catch her like spirit. And then he basically
then she controls.
Yeah, she controls her, and she says, like, basically the last thing is like, Minya tells Laszlo, there's only one rule: you do everything I say or let her soul go. How does that sound?
Can I just say, she drives me bananas. Like,
no, I can't.
Why is everybody letting this child boss them around? Like, that's just like, ugh.
I know.
The entire time she was like on the page, I was just like, she's annoying. Like, I get that she's supposed to be like the villain in the story, but she was driving me nuts the entire time. Like, I could not stand her.
Yeah.
And it's not even like that she's a good villain. It's just she was annoying. And I was like, go away. Like, why is everybody taking her crap? Like, I don't understand.
I thought she was really interesting. I thought she was so like morally ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous, yeah. So like I understood her point of view, but then on like the other hand, oh my gosh, she was such a bitch.
And I really am glad that we got to flesh out a little bit of her and her motivations behind it. And I like that we got to see, like, she always felt inferior and wasn't able to save everyone, and that she carried that burden. I like that we got to see that a little more fleshed out for her, but it didn't excuse why everybody waffled to her. And I didn't understand, like, hello, you have 4 people and you all are taking the crap of a girl who won. You are now all older then. Like, I don't understand why no one ever challenged her. And I didn't understand, like, just because they didn't want to learn how to cook and clean. Like, what? After so long, I don't understand why no one ever stood up to her.
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom the power that she had over them. And the only thing that they talked about, unless I didn't see it or I missed something, was that, well, if she has the power to take the ghosts away, and who's going to cook and clean for us and take care of us? Like, grow up. I would rather do everything myself and not have someone boss me around like that and control my life. Like, and I didn't understand at all.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Was there any other, like, power that she had that?
No, she honestly, like, Minya kind of, I don't know. So, like, I completely agree with you. And, like, I thought she was an interesting character because, like you said, you kind of understand what she's going through. because like she was there when all of the babies were killed. And she, you know, it bothers her that she could only save a few, but she literally has no emotions when pretty much like one of her sisters die. I know it wasn't like her blood sister, but like you know, she has no emotions. Like I don't know if it said that when you were like reading up on the synopsis, but she literally like when Laszlo brings her body up, Minya is just literally in the corner and has like no emotions whatsoever. And like the other three are super upset and she is just literally sitting there and she's kind of like smiling and she's just being so like conniving. And then she's like, yeah, it's crazy.
I really disliked her character, and I get that she was supposed to be not likable, but like, I didn't even like her as a villain.
Yeah. So that's what I think was interesting in this book. Like, who is the villain?
Is it not her? Who do you think's the villain?
Well, I meant like, is it Earl Fane? Is it the gods? Is it the humans? Like, who are the villain?
100% the gods. 100%. They raped children. Yeah. Are you joking?
Well, I mean, they're dead. So, I mean, who in the actual book is the villain?
Still the gods. Because
who's alive?
Chain of events, that's what it is. And it's like, and it's not like they said, like, we're going to build this airship to you know, Errol Fane to kill the rest of the people up there, you know what I mean? So it's not like that was the intent of them going up there. They were just trying to save their city. Yeah. I don't think they're at fault. The god spawn are at fault because one, they have the two, they don't know any different, so they were just trying to protect themselves too. All of them had someone to talk to. That's like just a day and it would have been fine.
I'm so sorry, you cut out. I missed like the last 30 seconds of what you said.
Same. I said, if they all just had cell phones and had a nice sit-down conversation, all of it would have been avoided. Like, everything would have worked out.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I couldn't stop, like, reading this book and thinking of Adrian with the dream walking.
Oh, fair enough.
You know, I think that Rochelle Mead did a better job with the dream walking.
I don't know. I thought this was like, I liked that aspect of it of the dream walking. And
yeah, I thought it was really cool too. And like that was another thing when it was like vomited moths. I was like, oh wow, that's an interesting description. Like I thought she was getting sick, and then Kevin's like, no, she's literally throwing up moths, and I was like, okay. That was like another thing where I had so much trouble with, you know, I couldn't tell what to take figuratively versus literally.
Mm-hmm. I think I was like waiting for it to change animals because she would make like because it was like it's whatever her manifestation of is that's what comes out of her. And she at one point in the book she said something about her stomach turned like serpents in her belly, and I was like, ooh, is she gonna like puke out snakes now, and that's what's gonna like be her animal for tonight? And it wasn't. It was always moths. And I was like, why does it never change? Because I thought that would have been a cool, like, interesting tidbit, but that would be harder to like, you know, send down there.
Yeah.
Also, when she was like, when what's her name took away her potion to get like restful sleep, and she was getting the like restless sleep, and she was getting the nightmares, and then the like bitchy villain was like, oh really, are you not getting sleep? Why didn't she ever send her moth to her and be like, if I'm not getting sleep, you're not getting sleep, so let's make a trade here? Like I was waiting for that too.
Ooh.
Like why didn't she ever like send out nightmares to her sisters and brothers? Because I have two sisters and I love them dearly, but at some points I'd be like, you deserve this. Like we're not gonna get along always, and I would use my powers for evil.
Because obviously Minya did.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. Because obviously her power works on God's spawn because she was able to get to
with
Laszlo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
really
that was a nice twist to it, that she couldn't sleep without getting nightmares, because I was like, if she's gonna dish it, she might as well, like, she has to be able to take it. And I thought that was interesting. So I wonder if they would have not done nightmares, that they would have. She constantly grappled with fighting forces with evil or fighting forces with good, and I was kind of wondering if the tables were to have turned, that if she would have lulled them into like a calm manner versus in a frantic nightmare state, if she would stop having nightmares then.
I was thinking about that too, actually.
So I wonder if that's direct to how she treats people, that she like then gets it in return.
Yeah. Interesting. And then I always wondered, like, I kind of found a plot hole. So if all her moths don't return, she loses her speech. Correct? Right? So what happened with the ones that Laszlo killed? He like accidentally killed one of her moths, and 99 only returned, and she didn't have any issues.
She was hoarse. She could.
Oh, she was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
And then once nightfall hits again, she remakes those moths, so she's fine after that.
Back to 100? Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I must have not caught the fact that she was hoarse the next day, because yeah, only 99 came. Like the first time she visited his dream, her moth like poofed, I think.
Yeah.
With the sun. Which, okay, another thing. I felt like it was a little too insta-love. I didn't really like it.
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing though. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome. So I was okay with it because the only people that she's ever known were that one boy that was the god or the cloud stealer. So it's like that's all she ever knew. So someone who is new and exciting, like it's just like a teenage. I mean, she is a teenager, but it's just like a teenager falling in love and thinking, I'm so in love. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
not that it's real love, but it's like it's love to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
like the emotions run so high and everything is so new that it like speeds up the emotions. Okay. So I took it as that way, not as like written as insta love.
Interesting. Okay. I can take that. Does anyone have any like questions or something that they want to discuss? Haley, I know you like loved this book, so is there anything in particular that anyone wants to talk about? So you're not sure if you're gonna read Muse of Nightmares?
I don't know, because this one took me so like short, or it took me so long to read, and it just was dragging my feet through it, and I just have so many other books that I like have been anticipating that I think I don't know if I would actually continue. Are you gonna continue with it?
I can't decide.
I guess, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I mean, what more can happen in the next one?
I know. I don't know. Maybe I'll have Kevin read it and then tell me if I should or not. Because he's going to continue on.
The second one is Muse of Nightmares, and she always calls herself like yeah. And that was actually that was a chapter in the book as well as Muse of Nightmares. And it was from her point of view. So she obviously has to
survive-ish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Katie, you're on page 100 of Muse of Nightmares.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know where the story could go, so I'm not enticed by
Here's
the
my
continuation
thing.
of it.
I just don't feel like this book warrant a 532-page book.
I agree. I think
So
I kept thinking, like, movie-wise, so much of that would have been tossed out because it was repeated.
yeah. So now I'm like wondering, is Muse of Nightmares going to be the same? Because honestly, plot-wise, like removing all description, like you said, in a movie, you can't just show description. People would get bored.
Yeah.
There's not that much that happens.
There's really not.
There's really not. So yeah, that I think I would have enjoyed this book if it had been maybe like 200 pages shorter.
Yeah, because then the pacing would be fixed.
See, okay, so with that, Katie, I've read her, well, I'm halfway through her Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. I stopped after the second, I need to continue on, but I did read the first and the second book, and I feel like a lot happens. Like, her writing style is still really unique. Have you read it yet, Hannah?
I've read the first one.
Oh, okay. So, you feel like more things happen, right? Like
Yeah, the pacing is definitely better in that than it is in this one.
Yeah, so her writing style is still really it's still unique, kind of like Maggie Stiefvater's, like you were saying. So I don't think it's the writing style necessarily that had, that has me not wanting to pick up the next one. I think it's just the pacing, to be honest. It's like, yeah, it's the pacing. Because I enjoyed her writing in Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and a lot happens in that first book. Like, everything happens. So,
I think one thing that we can all agree on is how crazy, and I say crazy in a very good way, how crazy her mind is to think of such unique things that is not just recycled plot points. And I know this is an Atlantis retelling, but so much of it is crafted in such a way that it's so beautifully crafted. Whether you like the writing style or not, you have to admire the artistic way that she thinks and the way that she's able to execute that. And it's just such a cool thing to peek into someone's mind like that. And I keep referring back to Maggie Stiefvater as well, but it's the same thing. Is both of their minds, I feel like, are such a unique place that not a lot of people write like that. And I admire just like the talent of that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like the plot, the idea, like the concept of this story, I think warrants like a 5 out of 5 stars, because I've never read an Atlantis retelling, and I've never read something like her characters are always so unique, and I don't know, just her overall, I don't see anything recycled from other books, except for a couple things that, you've seen maybe here and there. But when especially when I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I'm like, oh my, because I read that like maybe a year or 2 years ago. I had never read anything like it. Like, everything in there was just so fresh and new. So she doesn't use you don't see a lot of recycled plots.
Or like tropes either.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So what do we think about how well-rounded the characters are? Did you feel like people needed to be more fleshed out, or did you like that they were how they were written?
So Sparrow, we definitely did not get enough of. I really enjoyed Ruby. I felt like she could have been that really good comedic relief that you kind of wanted, that you were saying.
Yeah.
Like with Atlantis, the story is so I don't know, Milo is just really funny at times, and like you said, like the guy with the dynamite, and even, I don't know, it's got a lot of comedic relief to it. So I would have loved to see more of Ruby. And it seemed like Farrell could have a little bit of he seemed like he could maybe have a little banter back and forth with him and Ruby, but we only got a glimpse of it.
Yeah. He was such paper thin developed there. The only part that we really saw was him being angry at everybody for him making him like control his like weather, and him like being pressured to be romantic with Ruby and then him caving. And it was like he was not developed at all, and he had no spine. I didn't care. I liked his power, but I didn't care for him as a character.
Yeah, I feel like he could have been a little bit stronger, for sure.
And I think like I wish like in the Atlantis movie there was so many different diverse types of characters, and I felt like here they all kind of were like, you're a warrior, you're a god spawn. Like there was specific types that didn't really mesh well, and they didn't play off each other. Like they were interesting, but they didn't really mesh well, in my opinion. And they didn't like, there wasn't that banter, there wasn't that chemistry on page like I think you should have.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did we think about Errol Fane?
I didn't connect with him at all.
Me either. And I wish he was a little more. I get that it was like he was supposed to be the warrior and he was supposed to be like this kind of shrouded in the shadows a little bit, but it was too much for me. I wanted a little more development from him, and I wanted to like, I don't know, connect with him more and have him have more of a personality versus him just be warrior stereotype number one.
Yeah, so I found like towards the end where he starts to break down a little bit and you see more of his personality and you see a little bit more of him being like, you know, you just see more. I found it, I had trouble believing it because of the way he's described, like you said, like a warrior and like just super stoic and just show no emotions, that I had a lot of trouble when he finally got back and he realized that his daughter was alive. He kind of like broke down a little bit. Like he faltered as a warrior, and I was having trouble believing it because I don't know. I was like, this doesn't seem like something he would do with the way that he had been described. I don't know.
So I wish we would have seen it just from a different point of view, because I think it would have worked well if they would have shown him breaking down and it was someone who was like looking at him through tender eyes versus her eyes, because she had such like a hard exterior and she separated herself from her dad. When she saw him break down like that, she didn't connect with him because she didn't know him, and we were in her point of view. If we would have saw it from, say, his mom's point of view, or even Laszlo's point of view, and we saw through their of him, I think that he would have connected with his emotions. You saw it. I think I froze. I don't know.
Yeah, you did. It's okay. I got a little bit of what you were saying.
So, sorry about the frozenness here. I was saying, like, you can have a stoic character and you can show a softer side. Like, that can be done, and it can be done to round out your character correctly. And so, like, my favorite, like, stoic character is Dimitri, and he's got that stoic side, but there's a way to show that tenderness side to him and still have that composure of stoicness. It's just from the point of view. I think she just needed a different point of view to see him break down for you to really connect to that character. So I think if Laszlo or his mom would have seen Errol Fane break down over the realization of his daughter, we would have seen and had a little more of a tender perspective than his own daughter, because his own daughter was already separated out from him, and she was already disconnected from her father because she didn't grow up with him. So she didn't take it as tenderness, so we didn't take it, so it wasn't believable on our side. If we would have saw it from a different perspective, I think it would have been able to flesh him out a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, Katie, I agree. I think he actually, like, as a character, Laini Taylor does a great job at telling us, like, his motivation. We get his backstory. Like, we know what, like, you know, we know what he wants, like we know why he's doing it, and we know why he's kind of like a warrior and a soldier. I think I just couldn't connect with him.
Yeah. I loved Laszlo's development, though. I mean, he has to be because he was the main character, but I loved his development.
I did too.
And I like that we got to see him kind of being that quiet warrior, that like he was self-sacrificing to help other people because it was just the right thing to do. And I really liked that quiet warrior type of stuff.
And he's funny. I wish we got more of it.
Yeah, like his sass and like his sarcastic remarks. I wish it was a little bit more humorous. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I wish I love when we get a little banter and humor and sass in harder books. But I especially when he like tells Theon, like he kind of tells him off a couple times in front of like what Earl Fane. Yeah, so he knows that Theon's not gonna do anything, and it's just like he's just really sassy about it. I really like that. I had so many. Okay. So, who are the Seraphim? Who came 200 years ago? Was it the gods, or was it the Seraphim? Or are they the same?
I thought they were the same. Were they not?
I don't know. Because, like, so the Citadel is said to be Scathus, right? It's like an angel of Scathus, like it's Scathus, right? The Citadel? Mm-hmm. But it has wings, and Scathus doesn't have wings.
Oh.
So that's why I'm, like, really curious about that. Like, who... Because when Laszlo is telling, they're in the cave and he's telling like the story of when the humans were controlled by demons and then the Seraphim came in and killed all the demons and let the humans go. Was that 200 years ago, or is that like a legend from way like centuries before?
See, this is where I got confused because I couldn't tell if this was stories that he's read, stories that he made up, or was it the stories like stories that he actually happened.
Right.
And like so much was being questioned as well that it was hard to keep that like the tales straight too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, because he was talking about the cusp, like when he's, when they're doing that, like the pool of like theories of what they're going to find when they get to the city. They talk about, like he talks about how like he basically tells a story of the gods and the Seraphim. And then he tells a story how they came down and they killed all the demons and which created like that cusp. I guess I'm not even sure what that is, honestly, but it's like the bones of the demons. Mm-hmm. And then they get to it and they realize, oh, this is actually true. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm curious, like, are there two separate angels, gods? I don't know. Does it clear up in Muse of Nightmares?
Was that important to the story, though?
No. I'm just... So they had been so the people of Weep had been slaves to the gods for over 200 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might pick Muse of Nightmares. Well, I don't know, because it's not that I wouldn't like to get to it, but it would be one that I would like, things that I'm not like super into, like it's good, but I'm not like drawn back to the story. I'd want to listen to it on audiobook, but this one's so hard to listen on audiobook that it's like you need to read it in physical form because it's just if you don't, it's so confusing.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, yeah. It's a duology, right?
I don't know. Does anybody know?
If it's a duology, I might pick up Muse of Nightmares. If it's gonna end up being more, I don't know.
I don't know what would really be warranted of a full another book. Yeah, everybody's saying it's a duology.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, then I might pick up Muse of Nightmares because I mean, we still need to find out about the goddess of secrets. We don't know what her like. We need to learn more about the gods. We need to learn about what happened to all the children over the age of 6. Because in the nursery, there were only kids once they found out what their powers were. Like the kids disappeared.
Yeah.
So we need.
I just figured that meant that they just like took them somewhere else.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's ever specified. Like, do they kill them because they're not needed?
Well, I just took it as like they took them somewhere else to do more bidding. Like took them around the world to control more people.
Interesting.
I guess like I feel like this book didn't need to be this long, and I can't imagine needing another book when everything feels like the whole plot line is going to be repeated. Like the gods control the humans revolt, they fight back. You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess we need to find out like more of Laszlo's backstory. Like, how did he get out of?
See, and I just connected with that his mom must have been one of the people that when Arelphane went up and slayed the gods, that she didn't have the removal of the memories of them, so she knows what happened, and then she had the baby and wanted to give it away because she didn't want to have that baby as a reminder.
See, I thought that too, but then I reread a few parts and it said that, so when 15 years ago when all of this happened, Laszlo was already 5 years old. So that he's older.
So he's 5 when
Yeah, because he's like 5 years old. He's like 20. He's 26. No, 23.
Okay.
Why is
that part?
17?
Okay, that part would make it interesting then.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that would like spark my interest with it if he wasn't a baby. Like
no, he wasn't. No, because he's 23 years old, so he's 5 years older than Sarai, or he's like 22 or something. Yeah, he was like, because remember he was playing swords when he was like playing make believe when he forgot the name of the city. Like when the magic swept through.
Oh, I didn't connect that was all like when the whole like the war was happening. That's why he forgot it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it a little more interesting. That like, how did he escape? Yeah.
Yeah. So because the humans were still under like captives of the gods, so it's like, where did he come from?
Okay, that part would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that little tidbit is interesting enough for me to pick up another chunker of a book, but that part's interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be. I feel like this would be an amazing book to listen to, like on audiobook, like books that have a little bit slower pace. I really like to listen to on audiobook because you can speed it up. But it's just, I think maybe now that I've already read the first one, I think maybe I could follow the second one. It was just the beginning. I think it was like, I'm sorry?
You're not like listening to the world building and get lost easier.
I might try, I'm curious, I might try Muse of Nightmares on audiobook and see if, and try and listen to it. Oh, it's not out yet. I don't have it, so maybe when it comes out.
I wonder if anybody was able to like listen to just Strange the Dreamer as it is like on audiobook without having that difficulty.
Kevin listened to all of it on audiobook except for like the last 100 pages. He's like where you're at right now.
So he like had no problem. Maybe it's because he reads more high fantasy than we do, that he's used to that extensive world building.
Yeah. He reads a lot. He listens to a lot of adult fantasy, whereas I have trouble listening to it. I have to physically read it.
Don't mind my cat there. He like meowed right into like my computer. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, Hannah didn't finish the book.
No, yeah, it's fine. I already looked up all the spoilers and everything. I'm like 100 pages left of it. I'm like 130 some pages left of it.
What's really funny is like the last 100 pages is not as like descriptive as like the first 400. Literally the last like 100 pages is just like the plot moving. Like this happens, then this happens, then this happens. It like just, I don't know, it's really weird. It's like a switch, just
like different writing style almost.
Yeah, kind of, a little bit. It just moves so quickly. Like they're in the dream and then all of a sudden he wakes up and then Theon's at his window and then he's like, your blood dissolves the stone. Then they go look for the stone. Then there's an explosion. Then, you know, she dies. Then it's like it really so much happens in 100 pages that it's crazy. Okay, see, I wanted to read Assassin's Apprentice, and Kevin's actually read it. He really liked it.
I think Trevor's read it too. I bought him Robin Hobb books, and I think he's on like the second series now.
Yeah, Kevin's on like the third.
He's on like yeah, I think he's on the Fitz and the Fool series right now.
Yeah.
And he really liked them.
Yeah, so does Kev.
Well, do you guys want to discuss anything else before we close out Strange the Dreamer and switch over to
the Fiery Heart?
Ruby Circle? But yes,
no, Fiery Heart.
Ruby Circle's the very last one. I'm all mixed up on them.
So you're halfway through the Assassin's Apprentice. Okay. I thought you were going to say you're halfway through Muse of Nightmares and it's just now getting good. And I'm be like, ooh, I don't know if I can make it halfway through. Okay, so Hannah, I actually have a question. If this hadn't been a Muggle Studies book, would you have DNF'd it?
I moved for it. And I...
Oh, no, you're breaking
up. Escaping from Houdini. And so I was like, I want to read Escaping from Houdini, but I need to read this. And I think that's what, like, made it slower. I think I would have liked it a lot more if I was in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. Like, I think I'm going to rate it like 3.75.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, agreed. I think that I am just so excited to read other books that, like, I restarted my Harry Potter reread. So I just want to, like, read Harry Potter. And then, like you said, Escaping from Houdini. I had to stop myself from reading the Ruby Circle because I already read Silver Shadows. So I'm like, oh, I'm a month ahead. So I think I'm curious, like I'm currently reading so many other things that it was hard to like stay focused on this.
Yeah, especially because it was slower paced, that it was like really sucks you in.
Yeah. Oh, Haley, that's too long. That's too long. Yeah, so I'm like following the audiobook on the illustrated edition, so. Okay, I think we covered a lot.
Sherlock wanted to come join.
I don't know if you can see Zara. Oh gosh. Say hi. Oh.
No. Yes, it's that time of year again. Everybody reads Harry Potter, and I love it.
I know, right? Everyone is literally rereading Harry Potter. I was like watching a whole bunch of reading vlogs, and everyone's rereading Harry Potter. So I was like, oh, I need to reread Harry Potter. Like, especially that I was listening to Lady Midnight, and then my audiobook expired, and then I was going to renew it, but it's not going to be for another 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, I can't decide if I wanted to start another audiobook. And I was just like, I'm just going to reread Harry Potter.
All right, so I think we're probably going to close this one out and then start Fairy Heart.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys in a little bit.
Okay. Bye.